Welcome back to the channel, everyone. You catch me on a beautiful autumnal day in the southeast of England, and today I thought, based on the search traffic to the channel, that a lot of you are searching for the Ducati 821, this little beauty just here. And I don't give it a lot of love out of the various bikes on that I have in the channel, and it occurred to me that one thing I can do on this bike is provide you with a long-term test review, because I've owned this bike since new, and I've done, as you can see down here, 26,537 miles over the, what is it, 2016, so what is it, 8 years, 9 years almost, that I've owned the bike. So I think I'm quite well qualified to talk about long-term ownership of it, because it's a spectacular bike. I love it dearly. I have absolutely no intention of selling it. So it will continue to be in the garage, and continue to be kind of my workhorse generally, actually, for biking. I don't commute on the bike. It is purely, all my bikes are purely for fun and, you know, nipping to the shop occasionally. I've got a car, obviously, for things like that, and I work in London, so the train is sadly the transportation medium of choice. So yeah, here is my 2016 Ducati 821 Monster, and she's an absolute beauty. I will stop and take some kind of B-roll footage to show you. I've looked after her. She's in great condition, even though she's done 26,000 miles. You'd never know it, except for the mile thing here, but she's in beautiful condition. But I can, when I stop, I'll show you a few of the things that I've changed on her, but to be honest, not that much at all. So let's start off with the negatives, shall we? And to be honest, there's not that many. The biggest negative is that I've found with the bike is the lack of tyre choices. The wheels are a little bit odd, especially the rear, with the profile diameter. And there's really only one option, which is the Diablo Rossos, which is what it came with, but it does mean that you don't have any kind of whiz past this guy, because I can enjoy the bends that are coming up here. As you'll know, this is one of my favourite roads. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, the tyre options are extremely limited. Basically that one. They Pirelli and any other manufacturer just don't make the rear. The front tyre is not a problem, but the rear tyre is the problem there. It's a 60 millimeter, you know, sidewall diameter tyre. Most in this size at 55, or is it the other way around? I'll have to double check. But so that's a problem. Well, depending on what you do with the bike. So these tyres are fantastic. I have them on my 916, the Diablo Rosso 4s. Love them dearly. They do everything well. Pretty good grip in the wet. Not that I ever ride in the wet. Plenty of stickiness for messing around on roads such as this, and glorious bends as we go through them all. Oh, it's marvellous. But this is a bike that me and my dear missus use for two-up, which I'll talk about from a comfort standpoint, which does mean I have a tendency to burn through the rear tyre pretty quickly. So that's the negative. That's the biggest negative. I do burn through the rear tyres very quickly. Now, if you're probably going to get between 3,000 and 4,000, about 3,000 miles, I should think, out of the rear tyre, not too up, maybe closer to 4, depending on how you ride it. So you should be, you know, it could be an issue to you. It might not. It depends on how you use the bike. Beyond that, there's not many negatives to talk about with it, really. She's touchwood, generally been reliable. The good old Italian electrics has caused a few problems. I have had it go into limp home mode once. The throttle sensor, which I believe there are two. There's one on the kind of the handlebar end of the thing and one in the engine. The easier one failed for me, which was the handlebar size. They didn't have to go into the engine. That, of course, was just out of warranty when that happened. But since they replaced it, and you know, I don't know, 10,000 miles, whatever it is, no problems whatsoever. So that was a problem. The other issue that I had with it, which was a very unusual one, the Ducati guys had never come across this before on this model, so I'm not. It's not really fair to paint all of them with the brush, but there's two rear wheel bearings in the back wheel. And I noticed actually when I got my GSX-R 600 a few years ago, you know, and they both weigh about the same amount. The GSX-R was an awful lot easier to wheel around the garage, and well, that's not right. And also, I kept hearing these kind of clanking noises, which I'd put down to a loose chain rattling against the swing arm that needed doing. So when I took it in for service, and this is back when it was relatively new, because I was still getting it serviced. It was less than 5 years old, because I hadn't done the Desmo service yet. And I was talking to them, and I was like, can you take a look at that, because it's, you know, heavy to move around. And it turns out one of the rear wheel bearings had completely collapsed and fallen apart and managed to weld itself into the hub of the wheel, probably generating a massive amount of heat, because one of the weird kind of follow-up things that had happened in it is it failed its MOT due to a warped rear brake disc. Which I never use the rear brake unless I'm using it like a handbrake on a hill in traffic lights. You know, maybe I'd use it occasionally if I happen to get caught out by you know, a shower or something like that, and I'd touch on it, but really I never use the rear brake. You know, it's still on the original pads at 26,000 miles, but it warped the disc, and we're like, well, that makes no sense unless the heat from this wheel bearing that had welded itself into the hub had been enough to warp the disc. Who knows? But that was as it turned out, quite expensive issue, because I had to they had to dig it out and replace it and so forth. But that was it, really, from a cost perspective. The bike is, you know, with the modern Ducatis, the servicing is not bad. The belts is every 5,000 miles. The Desmo service is, I believe, 16,000 miles. I've done one of each. Next year I have to redo the belts on this thing. I'm pretty sure I do. Let's go in here. But beyond that, I have just the annual oil change, which is not particularly costly, especially as I have my top guy Andy at L2 Servicing that does all this now. When it has long gone out of the need to take it to a dealer, especially as I don't plan to sell it. Although I do have all the documentation of the work on it, it's all up to speed and all that good stuff. But other than that, it's a pretty good bike. It served me well. Like I say, it costs a little bit on the tyres, but other than that, I don't think it's particularly more expensive than any other bike. Lots of bikers enjoying the Beachy Head Road for the last few rides. Before the thing, I do actually, I'm going to notice this as well, I do actually nod at all bikers. I'm a big waver, nodder and so on, but I've noticed it does not show up on the video, because I'm assuming because the image stabilization thing, it kind of voids out my nod. So yeah, it doesn't show that I'm nodding at people, but I am. I noticed that. I was like, I think I'm a complete arse and I'm not returning nods or saying hello to people, but it's not the case. So yeah, where was I? So long-term test. So cost-wise, not bad at all, to be fair. You know, these and reliability generally pretty good. Again, 26,000 miles. On top of that, out of my 26,000 miles, let's have a quick look and see where we are. I average about, let me just do a quick turn in here. I average about 50 to 55 miles per gallon out of this thing. Over the course of the time that I've owned it, and if I can play with the buttons here, which are not working all of a sudden, that's excellent. That one is. That's not the one I need. It's the bottom one, which is this one. I need it to get off the air temperature, which it's not doing. Alright, well, I'll come back to that. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, 52.1. Look at that. About for an average lifetime mileage. Oh, it's just flipped over to the thingy one. Oh, this is what I'm currently doing. But so, yeah, fuel-wise, it's not bad. Now, the tank could be a little bit bigger. I get about 100 miles before the little light comes on. I've never drained it, completely empty. So I think most I've done is like 22 miles on with the light on, and I've never run it out. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's a sports bike or a crossover there, right? It's a naked bike, so it's made for this kind of riding that I'm doing right now, zipping around country lanes relatively comfortably and so on. It's certainly not made for touring or motorway riding, although you can do some of that. I've done it a little bit. I'll flash up a couple of pictures of the bike. I've mentioned in my previous videos that it has this brilliant bit of design. Under the seat there are 4 bolted in hooks from nylon hooks, which you can then attach your various luggage systems to quite easily and stick it on the back here. So I've taken it up north on a couple of occasions, but whereas this little bikini fairing here does actually provide some wind protection. This is not designed for long, boring motorway travel, although it can be done. But I would do it. Some other things that we can talk about. The comfort. For me, it's actually not too bad. There is a slight vibration through the bars. I do have Rizoma tips on the ends of the bars to try and reduce it, but I do get a little bit of, after long distances, starts to put my hands to sleep a little bit. If I've been riding solidly for an hour or more, although really you can't get too much further than that without stopping because of the tank range. But so that's a potential thing to look at. I've had to change, again, 26,000 miles. I had to change, as I said, the rear disc, but I've never changed the rear pads. I have had to change the front pads. That was actually just last year. And I mentioned the two things that broke down, but I think that's about it. The general wear and tear is pretty good. I mean, this is a twin, so it has plenty of engine braking. Now this has, I think personally, this is the mid-range monster to get. I'm a bit biased, of course. So this is the Stripe model from 2016, which means it has upgraded suspension. It has adjustable suspension actually on the base of the fork, limited adjustable, it's not fully adjustable, opposed to the non-adjustable forks that are on all of the other models of this year. It has the 112 horsepower motor, which to me is perfectly adequate for this kind of riding. It's Euro 3, which means it's still in the UK. You can get away with going into London and stuff like that for free. How long that will last, I don't know. But it makes all of the right noises, and it's not like made to be quiet and a little pussycat like modern motorbikes have to be. So you can hear the engine, you can hear the exhaust, definitely, as I hope you're getting picked up. So for me, this is the right one to have. It does have 3 rider modes, which I adjust with this little the indicator switch here with the button. Throttle has to be shut off or closed in order to switch it, but at the moment you can see it's in Sport. There is a Touring, which is also full power like Sport, of 112 horsepower, but it just makes the throttle reaction time really slow, so you get much more movement out of the throttle. And then there's an urban mode, which is, I believe, 75 horsepower, which is essentially a rain mode. I mentioned in one of my previous videos on this bike, I've never changed it out of it. When I first bought it, it was in urban. I rode it around like that because I was coming back into motorcycling after a long break. Soon switched it up to Sport, and that's where it's sat for the last 20, 5,000 miles or whatever. I don't see the point. It's just, we're motorcyclists, you just adjust this, not the engine. If you've got 200 horsepower, I get it. But 112, I don't think it's needed. But there you go. yeah, so comfort, yeah, I got sidetracked. So comfort is pretty good, very good for me, really. I'm leaned forward a little bit, but I certainly don't get any wrist aches or problems. Like I say, it's normally the vibrations that are the thing that affects me more than anything. I do get a little bit of wind blast. I'm not very tall. I'm 5'6" on a good day. This actually does a pretty good job of taking the brunt of the air from me, so I'm quite happy to sit on this. Now my missus does go on the back of this, and generally not bad. It has two grab rails, one on each side to keep hold of, which she has thing, and she doesn't have a problem. She can look over my head. She's about the same size as I am. Doesn't have a problem, headbutting me every 2 minutes. With that, so that's pretty good. After about, again, kind of an hour or so of constant travel, though, she will start to cramp up a little bit because of the squashed legs to peg distance. So that's if you are doing, like I say, lots of two-up riding on this. There's a limit, certainly in our household, of how far we can go before taking a 5-minute break and get the blood flowing and stuff like that. But generally it's pretty comfortable. It's got a nice squidgy seat that I'm sitting on right about now. Yeah, I am, as you can see down here, on tiptoes on both sides at the same time. I can't quite flat foot. I'm a 30-inch inseam, so a bit of a short ass. But I know it does have another cleverly designed thing. In fact, on this seat unit on this thing, Ducati must have spent a particularly large amount of time on the design table for some reason, what with the cool luggage hoops. And then they've also got, which I also did a video on, a very interesting way to just lower the seat. It's got a little bar right in between my legs, just under the seat there. That you just drop down, and then there's two pegs that the seat in its normal mode, or legs, sits on, and you just take them off, and then you drop the seat down to I think this is 815 mil, and I think it drops down, it was 805, I can't remember, I'll have to put it in the thing. Oh, she's a beauty. I never changed, and I will park this up and do a quick talk around it, but I never changed the oh, look at the traffic. Look at the traffic. I've never changed the exhaust. Didn't, to me, I'm going to squeeze in front of that bloody great tractor, there we go, seemed to be worthwhile. Again, something I mentioned in one of my previous videos. Thanks, buddy. It sounds amazing. Oh, I'm going to... Thank you. As standard, it's noisy enough, it sounds incredible, and if I spend $1,000 on a Kropowicz or a Termagoni system, I'll gain about 1.5 horsepower and oh shit, should have gone then, 1.5 horsepower, and I'll go now. And a few kilos, what is it? I think it's 1.5 horsepower and 1.5 kilos actually, or maybe it's 3 kilos. Either way, I'm not doing lap times. It's just not good value for me, and this sounds amazing. So it's still got the standard exhaust. It's relatively light. It's just such an easy bike to ride. Like I say, it was the bike that after a 20-year break I got back into motorcycling again. You know, the kids were old enough to look after themselves, had some money, and it's like, okay, let's get back into bikes. And it's very easy after a huge gap just to jump back on this and ride it. It's the clutch is light. You know, the seating position is relatively comfortable. The bike itself is incredibly well balanced. It's not that heavy. I think dry it's about 180 something kilos, which is not too shabby. Certainly not an effort to move it around with the nice balancing of it. We don't have to mess with you know, worrying about moving it around, or like I showed you before, I'm on tiptoe and I don't have any problems or concerns with it. Yeah, highly recommended if you're looking at a big new bike. I've got this bloody great Range Rover just sitting there in the fast lane. Just getting in everybody's way. What an arse. Yeah, from that standpoint, it's great. These mirrors are next to useless, but I stand alone in a world where I don't like bar-end mirrors. I just think there's a certain balance with having, you know, it's just my own opinion. Yeah. So it's all in all not a bad little bike. So long-term test, you know, if you're looking at one of these, a few things. One, if it has the service history and has been looked after, don't worry about the mileage. This is, like I say, I have no doubt that this will do another, you know, double that easily, and I'll show you with some of the B-roll footage what this looks like from a condition standpoint, but it's had so little done to it from a repair standpoint and so on that like I say, I have no inclination to get rid of it, and I have no worries of it breaking down, causing me any problems. Oh, he's finally got out of the fast lane. So yeah, no inclination to ever get rid of it. From a reliability standpoint, no worries about that. I would definitely, like I say, whereas the mileage would not be a concern if I were buying one on the used market. The history would be my primary thing. If somebody's looked after it, garaged it, you know, not ridden it around in the winter. This has not done any miles in the winter. It always gets put away. Then it's a perfectly good bike, and I would certainly have no problem spending money, which I think are a pretty good value at the moment. I think something like this, 2016. about this mileage, I believe in the UK is about 5 to 6 grand. Might even be able to pick one up for a little bit less than that, which is a steal, because the thing's a great bike. It's fast-ish, fast enough for these roads. You can have fun with it, open it up, throw it around easily. Sounds amazing. Of course, has that even though it's on the lower end of the Ducati spectrum, it still is a Ducati, and it still has that cachet with it. It is bright red. It sounds the business and looks the business. Another reason why I think this particular model is the one to have is, of course, even though it's a little bit heavier than the 1.1, and by all accounts, you know, does nothing better than the current Monster, and I do need to take one for a test drive actually, but it does have, as I'll show you in a minute, the trellis frame, which to me is very important when it comes to so yeah, so now look at that, 26,555 miles. That's genuinely a long-term test. That's a lot of miles, but I think it's a great bike. I don't know how many of them are left on the road, to be honest. It's interesting thought. I don't see many of them of this particular model. I tend to see more around here of the smaller air-cooled models, of the Monster or the bigger 1200s. So there's really not that many of these mid-range ones that I run across. A good friend of mine, Paul, used to have one. He's now got the newer one, mainly because it's got a slightly better seating position for him, which is a lovely bike. There you go. So let me head back home, and we'll get the other phone out and do a quick look around the bike, and yeah, I'll see you there. And here we have my 2016 Ducati 821 Monster. And as I said in the video, it's in the road test, it is in fabulous condition. The paintwork has lasted beautifully. All of the trim and fittings and so forth have not shown any wear or tests of time, as you can see. Maybe with the slight exception of the exhaust, but even the shock under there. Now I don't use it in the rain really, I do clean it and I have looked after it, but not really a bike that you would imagine has done 26,000 miles. I do have the seat unit, as you will see in my other videos, but we had 2 people on this just recently. So she's held up and she looks in great condition. So we've done a few mods. Focus to here. We've got the Rizoma bar ends. I've also got Rizoma fork sliders and frame crash bungs. I also got an Evotech radiator guard under there. some RG paddock stand holders, and then here we have the Ducati Performance LED slimline indicators with a RG tail tidy, and the same indicators up front here, much better than the original bulb ones, but other than that she's pretty standard and looks amazing. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our little review. It's certainly a long time review, 26,000 miles of the Monster. I would love to, if you're an owner, hear about your experiences with the bike. I've certainly had really nothing but positive ones, and yeah, let's you know, if you've got the stories or any feedback on it, please let me know. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Please like and subscribe. Cheers.